Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 110. So just giving you an insight of what we've got up ahead for next week and comparing our analysis from last week as well. So without further ado, we'll start off with gold. So essentially what I was looking out for with gold really for this week was a potential drop to the downside, and willingly try and get in on another pullback. But pretty much I think it was from early February where we've had that pullback opportunity, so that's completely fine. We had the scenario out printed. We pretty much ended up following this, so now we can go ahead and get rid of most of these lower levels. But I might just keep that one in just for future. Oh, forget it, we'll get rid of this one, because for price to even drop this much, it would take at least a couple of days. But yeah, so we can probably move this to here. So essentially what I'm looking at now, again following on this third scenario, is pretty much just to see how price reacts now within the space. So we've got all these levels that we could potentially push higher with. So for me, it pretty much makes sense for price to come back down to some point within maybe 1840, maybe 1860, and give us that kind of retest trade. So there's no point in trying to, well, personally in my eyes, I wouldn't be looking to buy this straight away. There is an opportunity for price to come down, so possible sells are on the cards here. That's if you're counter trend trader, but also pro trend. I would be curious to see if we can rally back up to the upside again. So that's pretty much my kind of thoughts for gold for now. So unfortunately, if you didn't manage to grab some entries from the 1st of Feb, I feel like it pretty much would have let you, price would have left you basically. So it's continuously pushing higher, so it's completely fine. You just have to wait for price to kind of essentially pull back, but that equally then gives you a sell-off opportunity. So that's something that we can keep in the back of our heads for future references. So taking a look into Euro USD. So personally for me, we was expecting some sort of drop off through the week. And as we can see, it's not exactly been a huge drop off, but it's been momentarily, there's been some sort of drop in price, right? So price is making its pullback. We have some sort of potential sell-off there, so we're seeing now momentum kick in. Now it's interesting to see whether we will see this reversal, because looking at how price has, looking at this from another angle this week, I've come up with a third scenario, and that is if this completely respects and that this becomes a new high in the market, then there's a possibility that this scenario could happen where price just completely takes out 1.11. So I am keeping that option on the board, or on the cards. So with that being said, we could possibly look to anticipate sells whilst we in this scenario where we would be looking for buys. So this scenario wasn't necessarily invalid, because it eventually came back around, but price obviously turned over nice and slowly, so not necessarily a huge momentum week, if that's a word. But essentially what I'll be looking at for this week is pretty much to see if we can make further lows within the market, and then is there going to be a possibility that price is going to rally towards the upside, and that's obviously what we don't know. So that's why I'm keeping this possibility where we have a sell bias in mind. So on that basis, I think that we could be looking at some sell-off opportunities within 1.312, and within that, I think essentially we could be pushing lower after that. So we just have to wait for what price wants to do in that scenario. So yeah, let's see what's going to happen with that one. So that's Euro USD. Let's move on to NZD USD. So within that realm, okay, so this one's been actually quite tricky. I think I was looking for basically like a pullback within the market, but we can see prices really rallied up to the upside, so there is a possible continuation play that can break the trend lines, break the zones, but again, it's all speculative, and we just need to pretty much just wait on the board. So one other scenario that I have in mind is that we could expect price to drop off, potentially into the mid-range of 0.66 to 0.65. So I do actually think that that pretty much price could probably take out these lows here, and that could be that huge reversal that we've been waiting for. So I'm really excited for that one. So yeah, hopefully we can still see that. So the other scenario that I'm potentially waiting for, again, is if price just absolutely rallies towards the upside, and that's when price is just going to continue pushing higher. So there is that trade that we can look for there. But yeah, that's just something that I have on my cards. So yeah, let's keep on that. Let's move on to AUD USD. So yeah, this week I was actually looking for some sort of reversal to come into play. Pretty much earlier in the week, we had price rally up, so effectively, we've just had a lot of choppy price action. That's completely fine. I'm still actually expecting price to come back down into the lows that we've been waiting from last week. So interesting if that does happen. And obviously the second scenario we could possibly look at is just price just pushing up higher. And then in that case, like we're going to be literally just waiting for a retest and that continuation play. So I'll probably just leave it at that. It's pretty straightforward. I don't have anything else to say for that. So USDJPY, so we've got another 5 or so pairs left to talk about, and then we can wrap it up. But so USDJPY here. So my thoughts on this was essentially, I was looking for price to fall down just a little bit more. One of my scenarios that we've looked at from this week now is a possible turnover instead of a rise up to the upside. So there is a possibility that price could just drop lower. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm not trying to jump in too much, because that's if you get your emotions involved. It pretty much leads to almost a death situation with your money and capital. You don't really want to do that. So in my eyes, I'm just staying patient with this one. Obviously patience is key. But yeah, so essentially, watching out for price to turn over if it can, but likely it could drop off lower, because I'm watching this momentum, and it does look interesting. So we'll see what happens with the UJ. So I'm a bit 50-50 with that. CAD JPY, yeah, I've been looking at this turnover in the market. So yeah, just unfortunate though that it pretty much happened over in the night time. So for me in the Asia session. So yeah, I think that the reason for this was the Russia war with Ukraine. All that kind of stuff was kicking off through the middle of the night. So for me, the Asia session was a lot more impactful. So yeah, so that's probably why we've had missed trades through the week. So that's that. But yeah, nonetheless, the anticipation was there, so that's fine. I'm pretty happy with that. Again, if you guys are in America, you probably would benefit from these trade wars and etc. So looking on from this week, how could we potentially get involved? Because that's my kind of that's the main question, obviously. So what I'm probably just going to be waiting for is just that pullback, and then I'm only going to be looking into 89.5, which is just a couple of pips lower, but that's still some good profit, very good profit there. So and then we have the potential to run it into 87.5, which is another long-term kind of projective part. But yeah, so again, we're looking at 89.5, and if we start to break above 92, that's just another bullish perspective, so that's fine. Let's take a look at EJ. Okay, so EJ, what's cracking on with EJ? So yeah, let's take a look So yeah, one of the things that I was looking at was for a bit more of a pullback to the upside. I mean, we did have a pullback. I was personally waiting for a bit more of a deeper one, but nonetheless, it still turned over. Price dropped lower. So now we're just waiting for this scenario to play out. I think this is perfectly valid. So I'm pretty much now going to anticipate buying opportunities. I think that probably makes sense in my eyes. But yeah, looking for price to turn over at some point, and we're going to be looking at 133. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think of anything else to talk about that one. AJ, I'm also looking for more bullish action towards the upside. Again, we're just waiting for price to show us the cards. We had a nice early start up to the week, so maybe we could have more pullbacks and whatnot. So again, just waiting on that one. I'm quite curious to see if we can continue bullish on that pair. USDCHF, let's take a look. So last two pairs now. So USDCHF. Yeah, so for this, I am looking for price to potentially continue pushing lower. Again, we just have to be a little bit more patient because this has been absolutely horrible. Look how price has been wicking around upside and the downside. So I think we can still carry on an analysis from last week and anticipate the same kind of moves. Nothing's too explosive right now, but I think potentially this week it could be explosive. So let's just keep our minds open for that one. And then finally, for the end of this video, USD CAD. So what I was looking for, So essentially was looking for price to potentially sell off and give us some sort of pullback buying opportunity within the market. I think that's what I was expecting, but I think there was a good opportunity here at 1265, and I think I realized that during the week more so than the start of the weekly analysis, if that makes sense. But yeah, so looking ahead for this week, we might have to readjust this, but I think what we could expect now, if this low is going to hold at 1265, we could expect price to make its way up to the upside and then drop off. So pretty much this scenario here, I might as well just leave that in. Yeah, where we get above 128 and there's going to be a potential rollover. So that doesn't mean we can't look for buys through the week, because I think there's going to be an opportunity for that to take it into the high. So we'll see what we can do with USD CAD. So hopefully we can get involved. But yeah, obviously week has not been too confusing for me personally. I thought it was an okay week. But yeah, hopefully you did get some perspective from this. If you did get any value from this video, feel free to leave a like, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll catch you all in our next week's video. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you all soon.